10 years ago, a character popped into my head. It was a 12-year-old girl who finds a proton pack in a barn. I didn't know who she was yet, and eventually I started to think of this story. A kid who finds a proton pack and in that moment discovers who she is, what her legacy is, why she is unique. And I began writing a movie I never thought I would write.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Every once in a while, a movie is a piece of magic. It's almost inexplicable what makes it work so good. It's not about one shot or one character or one piece of dialogue, but there's this inexplicable magic that connects it all.
I've always thought the Ghostbusters ended up an extended family of their own, and in a strange way, because of the death of Harold Ramis, that family got broken, and so this Afterlife script seemed to tie these ideas together.
One day, I was at Jason's house, and he said, "I've been thinking about Ghostbusters." I think my eyes lit up at the suggestion, because I knew what it meant, not just that he was saying it to me, but what it meant in terms of his own willingness to finally confront this legacy. I think we both approached it with great reverence and respect. We didn't rush into anything. You have to tread very carefully. I think you have to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons.
For Jason, it's a really important project because his dad, Ivan, did the original too, and he created this world, and so I think there's a lot of pressure to sort of honor that.
I consider myself the first Ghostbusters fan. I was 7 years old on set, and before anyone knew what a Terror Dog was or what a proton pack was, I was actually on set. I remember being on set the day that the Marshmallow Man exploded and melted, and they had a stuntman there getting, pelted with shaving cream.
They have a stronger connection to this material than anybody in the world. It's the family business now.
Ghostbusters have not been just only a part of my family, they've been kind of a part of everybody's family.
I think that those themes that are playing out on the page and in the story, in a way, are playing out behind the cameras, too.
I think it's really lovely that you've asked people who've worked on the original film to come back and sort of create this forum.
We have a collection of people from the '84 film who know what we're doing, who can kind of weigh in on ideas. This movie is a love letter to the movie that you made in 1984. It's really important to all of us who are making it that it honors that film in every way. How do you make a Ghostbusters movie? Something that I've probably been thinking about my entire life since I was on the set as a kid. A lot of my conversations with my father were about me trying to understand what it felt like for him to create Ghostbusters back in the early '80s. People have often come to me and said, when my family got a VCR, we owned 3 tapes and Ghostbusters was one of them. And I think that's the relationship they have with it. It's different from them other movies. It was a part of their home. What we wanted was to make a completely nostalgic experience. So we're using all kinds of techniques that were developed back in '84. Spirits start to kind of emanate from this mountain. And if it looks familiar, it's perhaps because it was designed based on that shot over Manhattan in which spirits descend on the city. And our plan is to scan old opticals and scan shots from the original film and actually use some of the original opticals in our film.
When we did Ghostbusters back in '84, there was no CG. So we did it in the old-fashioned way. We used photographic effects. Because of that, the actors got to sort of live it, live the reality of the movie in a way that's very believable, because it was really happening to them. We use CG, and we use CG a lot, because it's a remarkable tool. And at the same time, there were many things that we did the old-fashioned way that was really the best way to do it.
And while it is contemporary, we didn't want to use a lot of contemporary and modern filmmaking techniques. Really wanted to keep it grounded in the kind of the drama and the feel of the '84 movie.
This should feel like your grandmother's recipe. The second you taste it, it should feel like, yes, that's a Ghostbusters movie. But simultaneously, we want to show Ghostbusting like you've never seen it before. I want to do things with the proton beam that they couldn't do back in 1984. When you're fighting a ghost, and it's pulling against you on that proton beam, and it wants to go right, and you're trying to pull it left, what does that look like? What does that feel like? I want to see the proton pack shaking in their hands.
There's a high level of visual effects in the movie. We are trying to do as much in camera as possible. We've got a wonderful special effects teams, and we've been working very closely through pre-production. Having it be real is always really exciting for everybody involved.
We used wind power an extraordinary amount.
Wind slowly up, wind, wind,
and action.
Something that Ivan Reitman started with in 1984. Every time some sort of spirit started showing up or got nearby, people's hair would start to blow. So much wind.
Making a Ghostbusters film now actually requires a lot of restraint because you want the experience to feel similar. I wanted something from the moment the movie starts, it feels 100% like a Ghostbusters movie.
Jason has this wonderful sensibility, this great humorous and ironic flair, but at the same time, he really focuses on big ideas. And he was able to bring it all together. I mean, he's really a good filmmaker and took the idea of ghostbusting in a much more serious way. Really in a more serious way than I did when I did it. And so the sense of the threat and the emotionality of it really grows.